Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our first DTC Consultant Network Intro webinar. I'm Adrienne Stillman. I'm the Client Success Manager for DTC Wine Workshops. And joining us this morning is Sandra Hess, the founder of DTC Wine Workshops, and she'll be speaking about some of her top DTC sales strategy tips for wineries. As many of you have probably seen, we recently launched the DTC Consultant Network. It's a full-service network of wine industry consultants dedicated to helping wineries grow direct-to-consumer business. This webinar is the first in an ongoing series that we're going to be holding over the coming months, where members of the network will share best practices, industry trends, and key insights into various topics such as member and customer retention, e-commerce and mobile POS, marketing, and more. For more information about the webinar series and about our DTC Consultant Network, please visit our website at dtcwineworkshops.com. As I said this morning, Sandra is going to be sharing her DTC sales strategy tips. As founder of DTC Wine Workshops, Sandra has worked with wineries across the U.S. to develop and grow direct-to-consumer sales, and she is a frequent speaker at industry conferences and events as well. With a background in technology first, her focus is on helping wineries combine technology and process to achieve sustainable long-term growth. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Sandra. Also, just a few quick housekeeping things. I have everyone on mute, and if time permitting, we may open it up at the end for some brief Q&A. Any questions that you might have about the webinar, please feel free to send us an email at sales@dtcwineworkshops.com, and I'll circle back at the end with our full contact info, etc. And over to you, Sandra.
All right, Adrienne, thank you so much for that intro, and hello all. Thank you for taking some time out this morning to join us in this half-hour online presentation. We are excited, obviously, with the launch of the new direct-to-consumer wine sales network to present to you some updated information today about how to build a direct-to-consumer sales strategy that best fits your unique environment. So we'll go ahead and get started here. As Adrienne mentioned, we will go ahead and have you muted throughout the presentation, but I will try to get a couple of questions at the end. So kindly share your questions if you could within the chat window, and we'll try to touch on as many as possible. All right, you should all be able to see my screen now. Just one moment here. Okay, great. Now that looks good. So the Direct-to-Consumer Consultant Network, really, I'm not going to go too much into some shameless plugs here this morning. I really do want to make this more about you and some key takeaways that we can provide in this half hour. But really, the purpose of the Consultant Network is to help wineries make right decisions with the right people. So we have 10 consultants and 8 different subject matters, assisting wineries nationally on a project-by-project basis. It's been a very exciting time for us as we're helping wineries not only throughout California, but in evolving markets in Washington, Oregon, Texas, Virginia, the Finger Lakes, Pennsylvania, and so on. Today, we will cover just a brief introduction of the network. We'll get into 4 key takeaways for you, and that is customer is the center of the DTC universe. We'll identify the ideal blend of DTC technology and process, some questions that you really want to ask yourselves about your unique environment, your customers, developing clear strategy around vision among your DTC team, and then lastly, providing customized care to improve our retention. So the network, we've taken a holistic approach really to direct-to-consumer wine sales. Over the last 3 to 5 years, we have now a lot of data, a lot of information that have been tracked through many different systems, whether it's the e-commerce world or through your CRM systems, and so forth. And so with that said, that gives wineries a great opportunity to learn about the various interests of customers, how to better market and stay connected to customers with preference-based marketing tools, online marketing tools, social media management, and so forth. So in this screen here, you can see that it's really taking that holistic approach, keeping the customer as center, but making sure that the focus really touches on, obviously, starting with the goal management piece, staying connected to your customers, making sure that you have a great plan in place for retention, looking at how your unique wine brand also caters to your customers, both in person and online. Also, how to best capture online sales between in-person visits, use of mobile point of sale and mobile tools also to better serve your customers who are on the go. And then lastly, looking at in-person sales, training room, tasting room training, and techniques, different services that are being used now at the tasting room level. So, and as we all know, in 2013, we had a $1.57 billion of direct-to-consumer wine shipped, resulting in 3.47 million cases. And what that has caused and what that has created is a lot of opportunity in it, but it's also caused a need for wineries to sharpen their toolboxes when it comes to taking this holistic approach to the wine sales divisions. Now there's a better time than ever to capitalize on that in the one-on-one relationship with your customers, your first-time visitors, in person and online. The 8 areas of focus that the Consultant Network is specializing in is covered here. And in our best practices that we've applied the last year and a half, in my involvement with the wine industry in the last almost 5 years, I have seen a consistent need in direct-to-consumer around these 8 specialty areas. Wineries of all shapes and sizes, the small guys, 2,500 case producers, and smaller, up to the 50,000, 100,000 case producers. The needs end up being the same, and that is how to improve the e-commerce side of the business, how to really look at data analytics, retain, obviously, customers, improve social CRM and CRM processes, set up some goal management that everybody can follow, and then obviously how to best market, what is appropriate in terms of touch points and marketing to your prospect and member audiences. Bottom line is the customer really is the center of the DTC universe. And so, wineries that struggle with this tend to put together an offering that they think is going to make sense to their customers based on their interests, their likes, their portfolio. But really what we've learned with direct-to-consumer is there's a great opportunity to learn about the preferences of your top customers based on their demographics, their interests, their preferences, and the things that they'd like to learn more about. And so when you're putting together your DTC division, you're looking at improving strategy and customer retention, really think about your customer as the center. So rather than positioning your direct-to-consumer offering from the inside out, really build it from the outside in, taking that ideal target customer into an account, knowing a little bit more about who your customers are, and being able to have more meaningful, intelligent conversations in person as well as online. So with that said, some questions for you. Who are your customers? What is the demographic makeup? This is key. If you're going to strategically put together a plan to grow direct-to-consumer wine sales, retain your customers, then number one, you need to know who they are. You need to know where they're coming from, what their age demographics look like, what their interests are, their income levels. There are so many tools available to you right now through Google Analytics. GA continues to build out their tool sets and offerings, customized dashboards. Take some time to set that up. Take some time to work with a consultant if needed to help you set that up and learn how to monitor the dashboard monthly with your management team. This data is so valuable to you to understand not only who your customers are now, but who they're going to be in 6 months and a year. This is continuing to evolve in the direct-to-consumer landscape. And so some of you might have tasting rooms where you draw a pretty big audience from tourism. You do a great job with people coming in on the weekends from all over the country, maybe the world. And in that case, using Google Analytics and back-end demographic information is vital. Others, maybe you're just kind of, getting your feet wet with working with tourism and really trying to promote your winery more towards out-of-town visitors. And that could be the 1.5-hour drive from Napa to, let's say, the Bay Area or Silicon Valley. So regardless of where your customers are coming in from, get to know them, get to know your target audiences, and then that will help you develop more detailed, specific messages to the right audiences. Where do they hang out? What are their interests? And so we're going to talk about this a little bit more in today's presentation, but you have the ability now to ask simple questions, obviously at the tasting room, but also to connect socially. And taking your top 25% of customers by lifetime value, which is lifetime value for length of the customer as well as their spend. Taking that top 25% as your test group and really monitoring over the next quarter their online hangouts, interests, activities, habits. Where do they like to spend their time? What do they like to do? What kind of milestones do they have coming up? Anniversaries, what are they celebrating? Interacting with them socially will enable you to, again, put them at the center of your DTC universe, but also better cater to them and retain them for the long run. Are you staying connected in between visits? So this is a really important question. I think a couple comes in first time over a weekend, they have a wonderful experience, they love your wine. Maybe they don't convert immediately into a club member. I think that looking at club membership trends, looking at the average length of club members now over the last couple of years, it ends up being a little more than 2 years on average. So it's really important to make sure that the goal of that first visit is, obviously communicating an awesome tasting experience, but communicating also the brand story, creating some type of relationship, getting to know their interests, and then how to best stay connected with them between visits. Are you inviting them back for an upcoming event? Are you getting them into your newsletter? Are you asking for their email address when you, check them out, or using mobile point of sale to generate their receipt? And then maybe within that receipt, offering a promo code to stay connected through your e-commerce site. There's many ways to get the customer coming back to you through events, through your e-commerce site, through your social media outlets, and really continuing to cultivate that relationship and take it to the next level. Do you acknowledge customers and fans socially? This is huge. Taking that top 25% again as a test. If you're not currently active in social outlets, I would really encourage you to see the lift that you're going to get from those top customers by simply acknowledging them. If they're giving you a like or a tweet or posting a picture on Instagram about a great visit they had, or checking in on Foursquare, why not recognize them with a nice thank you? Great to have you in this weekend. We really enjoyed our time together. And then with all of that said, are you building tailored messages and events based on their interests and preferences? Really, you have the ability beyond any other brand. People aren't going to go online and tweet and Facebook about the great experience they just had with their body wash in the shower. But they are going to talk a lot about the great experience they had with your wine brand, at your tasting room, at one of your events, out having dinner with friends. These are things that wine lovers really get into. So why not take all of that information and start building tailored messages and events based on their interests, preferences, and give them something to talk about, give them something to socialize and tell their friends about. Interesting fact here from my friend Paul Mabry over at VinTank. An average winery gets 2 to 20 organic mentions per week, and over 80% go unanswered. So that's almost like, not answering the phone when customers call, or not responding to an email inquiry from a customer who's just visited. It's really important to build a social strategy, take time to make the customer the center of the universe between visits, and market to them in a way that makes sense based on their preferences and unique interests. So now we're going to get into your direct-to-consumer technology and processes. At this point in the game, as competitive as direct-to-consumer has become, obviously depending on where your winery is based, your processes and backend systems need to be operating like clockwork. And the direct-to-consumer customer is becoming more and more savvy. They like to shop online. They have the expendable income. They like to, make good use of their time. They're expecting very high-end, sophisticated interactions, whether in the tasting room or after. And so we're going to talk about how to make sure that all of your systems work like clockwork and that they are streamlined. First question, do you feel that your winery's back-end systems meet the needs of servicing the customers on the front end? And I'm going to repeat that question. Do the back-end systems meet the needs of the customers on the front end? And this is a really important question to answer and to be able to support as a management team. If your tasting room staff cannot support your customers on the front end well on a busy tasting weekend or at an event, that's a problem. The back-end systems have to be streamlined. They have to work in a way that gives your tasting room staff ease of use and the intelligence that they need to have conversations about your club members, especially those people that keep coming back, your loyal fans. Is it easy for them within the first minute or two to pull up a customer record and reference historical order history, preferences about wines they enjoyed at their last visit, how many events they've attended with your winery, how long they've been a member, when their anniversary or birthday might be coming up. For all you know, maybe they're in right now on their birthday the same day, and it's a great opportunity to congratulate them and maybe throw in a little extra during that visit, a tchotchke or do something special for them. Do customers and prospects find online and in-person tools useful and helpful in connecting with your brand and staying connected? This also is important. They have a great in-person experience. You do a great job with your front-end systems. They really feel well taken care of. They were able to check out quickly and easily. They didn't have to wait in a long line to check out. Maybe you serviced them at their tasting room table or outside when they were having a tasting room experience with friends. You're using mobile point of sale. It's all looking great. Well, does that experience then also get delivered post-visit through your online e-commerce site, through your mobile site, when they call your winery, when they want to make a reservation with a group of friends to come in for one of your experiences or an event? How does that interaction look? Again, are those back-end systems really meeting the need of a savvy customer? How do you know and do you ask? So again, when first-time visitors call or come in, it's always great to ask, how did they find you, or how did they make their reservation, and do they have any questions about the online tools? Just get to know your customers a little bit more. Take time in a survey with your club members at least twice a year to just touch on the tools available to them. Are they happy with those tools for reordering wine as a club member, for changing their club information, upgrading their club memberships, etc. Point of sale, this is huge. 2013, people within the wine space, there were a lot of questions from the vendors, eWinery, Vin65, all the big guys, about the early adopters using a mobile point of sale. 2014 has been the year where mobile point of sale is now becoming the norm. It's becoming the standard. It's rolled out to almost 400 tasting rooms just on the Vin65 platform alone. We see Napa Valley Point of Sale actively upgrading and updating their systems for more mobile-friendly interactions. Point of sale supporting the tasting room is now key. As you get more and more busy and you look at a great problem to have, people lining up on a busy weekend, not able to get in the tasting room or not able to get up to the tasting room bar. A great way to resolve that problem is provide more opportunities for your visitors to sit down and have a tasting experience in different areas of your winery. Obviously, there are some limits to wineries that can't have a lot of outdoor events per se, but setting up tasting experiences throughout your facility is a great idea and a great use of mobile point of sale to extend and increase the number of visitors per weekend. Can member preferences, history, and important milestones be picked up easily? It should be just, like I mentioned earlier, clockwork. Interacting with a person over the phone or in person, referencing that data in one screen. If your direct-to-consumer technology, your point-of-sale systems, your e-commerce systems do not offer one screen with all of this important data, then you're definitely missing out on a huge opportunity to build a relationship and retain your customer. Using notes and task tools also to document their last visit details, preferences, important milestones or information that you need to know about maybe a wedding they have coming up. They need to order wine, several cases for a wedding or a special event. That information is valuable, and it's really important to have the tools available. Everything filters into one nice, neat customer profile page or member page. With that said, take a look at your member profiles, your member pages, the member portals. What is that experience looking like? Take some time once a quarter to audit your tools from a customer perspective. Shop your tasting room, shop your online store. Use the system from a customer's perspective to log into a member portal. And how easy is it for me to reorder the wine that I just purchased a few months ago and fell in love with? Is it one click and is all of my information saved, and am I able to check out within less than a minute in that member portal? Is the confirmation email customized, nice and neat? Do I have tracking information available to me? Those are questions that you really want to ask to make sure that your technology is truly supporting the customer. A quick fact here, I always go back to this, 85% of your club will come from your tasting room. And so, having that one shot with a new customer who's coming in to experience your brand, you want to make sure that from the moment they're greeted at the door to how they are treated at the tasting room bar and checked out is top notch. So give your tasting room staff the tools they need. If you're looking at upgrading and updating your tools now and streamlining, definitely talk to us. We're happy to consult with you briefly about some best practices and make recommendations about some vendors. Also, a quick fact, the ideal number of annual contacts now is 6. So more and more studies that are being conducted, different panels that I've sat on this past year, preparing for another panel here coming up next month, we're finding that customers who stay within a club for more than that 24-month period, the feedback that they're giving in surveys, they like to be contacted beyond just the follow-up call with their club shipment. So you figure if you're doing a quarterly club shipment, they're going to get the 4 calls to make sure the wine was delivered well, how did they enjoy their wine. But then beyond that, and the tasting room manager will typically manage those calls, right? But beyond that, why not have the general manager or the club manager usually manages the club calls, but have a tasting room manager also reach out for a birthday. We noticed it's your birthday, just wanted to give you a quick call and hope you have a great day. And that could be also a personalized email or maybe birthday card in the mail. But another great idea is to reach out with their wine club anniversary and thank them. Happy anniversary. You've been a club member now for 3 years. And some wineries I see are also sending out a small gift for club members that are 3+ years. They're recognizing that the drop-off rate tends to be around that 3-year mark. So they're sending out a small gift and a card at the 3-year anniversary the week before, and that is really making a huge impact with how they're retaining their club members. Next up, let's talk about strategy. Let's talk about vision. So obviously here, teamwork is key in making sure that your unique winery brand's strategy and vision is being communicated internally, and that internal communication shines with your external messaging and the way that you service your customers. So first off, does everybody in the team know what the DTC sales strategy is and how each person contributes? So obviously with direct-to-consumer wine sales, there are different ways of doing things. There are different ways of building the relationship and retaining the customer. The old way of having the majority of your wine sold through the distributors You know, the tasting room staff, club managers, and general managers maybe focus more of their time and attention, you know, throughout the month with different tasks, supporting the distributor relationship, supporting different reports and analytics and tools needed for that main sales channel. Now with the evolution of direct to consumer, you have many sales channels that you can successfully continue to build out and grow. And so really looking at not only the tasting room as a direct channel, but your e-commerce site, your apps like Delectable and some others now that are continuing to build momentum and integrate with other systems. Looking at Seller Pass, Visit, and online reservation management tools. Quarter over quarter, how much revenue are those generating? What is the increase in revenue? So having that clear strategy about the various direct-to-consumer sales channels, how you're going to improve those sales channels, but also continue to retain customers and grow market share within your key target markets. Is your brand story communicated to all customers in person, over the phone, or online? So whether that person sees you in, once a year at the tasting room, or they come in for the annual wine club party, or maybe you're dealing with a customer who does all their business with you through your website. The brand story, the experience that they have with your team needs to be the same regardless of where it happens. So creating consistent messaging and processes for how people are greeted, how you say thank you, how you inform and educate and build relationships is now key in differentiating your brand. This is such a competitive direct-to-consumer sales market. At this point here, I can't emphasize enough making sure that you're all consistent with how that story is delivered. Do stakeholders have a clear vision of where the wine brand will be in 3 to 5 years? So you look at, 60% of wineries in California are the 2,500 case producer and under. That's a lot of wineries that are the smaller brand that are building. So with that said, it's really important to know then where that winery is going in 3 to 5 years. Is that being communicated annually at the bare minimum, maybe twice a year, to all team members? Getting everybody on board and excited about where the winery is going to be key, and how those individuals take ownership of their area of responsibility and then deliver that exceptional customer service. So make sure that there's transparency in the vision the stakeholders have for the winery. How are direct-to-consumer sales and retention goals being tracked? Give clear visibility to everybody, from the back of the house people, the data analytics folks, to the front of the house, director of operations, winemakers. Everybody needs to be involved in looking at your direct-to-consumer sales and retention goals. If you truly want to grow out this division of your winery, get everybody on board and understand what the measurables are and indicators of success. So within direct-to-consumer, what's important for your winery? Is it that you get XYZ increase in, weekend visitors or weekday visitors? Is it that you're getting a percentage increase month over month with your e-commerce sales? Are you seeing greater interest and exposure of your winery brand mentions through social media networks? Are you growing market share within those 8 to 10 states outside of your tasting room? Are you wanting to increase your direct-to-consumer shipping to 35 states? Really making sure that those top 5 goals at the very least are identified, they're shared, they're being tracked, and there's quarterly visibility into how everybody makes an impact. A quick fact here, I mentioned this earlier, in 2014, I'm sorry, this is actually 2013, a study, 25.9 is the average months. And so basically wineries successful at retaining members longer than this average have created a spark in the relationship and communicated genuine brand value. So I keep really close to Rob McMillan at Silicon Valley Bank on wine. He does a great job of pulling in concrete data and sending out the surveys and getting the analysis from wineries not only throughout California but nationally, comparing perspectives and facts and figures from these wineries at the tasting room and wine club levels. And the common thread that he's seen is that the spark in the relationship, communicating genuine brand value, is really becoming the game changer. So make sure, again, that clear strategy and vision is communicated, and that you are truly communicating that genuine brand story. So we all love our customers, you know, and so why not take some time to let them know that? Why not put some processes in place that are repeatable and that allow every member of your team to communicate the love that you have for your customers? Customized care to improve retention. Retention is top of mind. You know, you've got them in to your club. You have them now as repeat buyers. How are you going to keep them interested? How are you going to retain them as long-term customers? It's really taking the time, again, to make that customer the center of your universe and to really ask the right questions and communicate to them in the way that they want to be contacted. So make notations of how customers like to be contacted. You know, I've been working with wineries of different shapes and sizes this last year to revamp web e-commerce sites, but also to revamp wine club offerings. There's been a lot of changes in how wine clubs are being structured to improve retention. I'm taking, you know, 4 or 5 different club tiers, bringing them down to 3. With that said, we go pretty deep into customer contact. And what I'm learning is that several wineries have a broad approach to how they contact their customers. They think, well, you know, we're just going to go ahead and send an email following up club shipments 1 week after to make sure everything went okay, because our customers probably really don't want us to call them. Other wineries make sure that every you know, club member is contacted by phone. Well, it's important to ask. So in your survey twice a year, make sure you add a question about their communication preferences. As customers become more tech savvy, they're becoming more busy, their time is becoming more precious. So being able to tap into exactly how they want to be communicated to is just key. And I've seen also recently some e-commerce companies adding some SMS text features around club shipments, you know, shipping updates, when they're tracking of their shipments, and so forth. So consider, you know, looking at your back-end tools again to really match up to the customer contact need. Do first-time callers get a live person on the phone? This is so important. I did an audit about 3 months ago, and I called 50 wineries throughout the nation of all different shapes and sizes. And I'm not going to mention names. I called some of the biggest ones to some of the smaller luxury brand wineries. And it was a very interesting experience. And what I found is that 60% of the time I was getting directed through a tree. I was actually pretty shocked. And then when I did press the 0 to get a live person, I was actually put on hold by a tasting room attendant who was really busy. The experience for me was pretty shocking. And so I really want to encourage you to identify you know, how important it is within your tasting room, within your winery, to have a live person who is responsible for answering the phones, and really consider, you know, if you have the bandwidth, if you have the staffing, making that person a back of the house person, somebody in the admin offices, somebody who's away from the tasting room if possible. Again, I mean, obviously you're all coming in from different shapes and sizes, but in a perfect world, that person would be dedicated to answering the phone when your winery is open. And then after hours, making sure that there's a friendly message, obviously around your business hours, and ways to communicate and contact you through your website. How are first-time visitors greeted? I had an experience over the summer, a friend's 50th birthday. We all went out to Kendall Jackson, and I had never been. And I have to admit, I had a preconceived idea that it was going to be kind of a cattle call and this really big winery experience, and probably really not my cup of tea. And so we go out and we're celebrating our friend's 50th, and you know, we're having a great day. And our second winery of the day, we arrived to Kendall Jackson, and it was amazing. We walked in and we were greeted by somebody who was so friendly and informative, and gave us options on how we wanted to spend our time with them that day. We ended up sitting on the back patio with a tasting experience, and that was actually one of the most memorable visits of our day. And we were all overwhelmed with the level of customer service and care. Even the chef coming out and talking about the wine and food pairings that we were enjoying, making sure we were happy. So consider, again, if you have the bandwidth, you have the staffing, especially on busy weekends, making sure there's somebody at your front door to greet your visitors and give them options on how they want to spend their time with you. Advanced reservations. I highly recommend testing out a couple of tools, Vino Visit, Seller Pass, customizable, configurable, allow you to set up different tasting times and opportunities for your visitors. Give these tools first maybe to your club members as a test. As an extra perk, allow them to sign up for one of your new tasting experiences included as a perk in their membership. Make sure the tools work for them, get their feedback, find out what they liked, didn't like. It's a great opportunity for you as you're expanding your offering on the direct-to-consumer side to build 2 to 3 experiences, for larger groups that want to come in on a busy weekend and have that sit-down hour with a member of your tasting room staff to learn about your wines, to get connected, whether it's a food and wine tasting experience or maybe just an educational experience. I've seen some interesting things happening recently on the education side with descriptor tastings and so forth as well for first-time wine tasters. I'm really gearing the messaging to those people who are coming in for their first time and really wanting to learn. First-time customer, how are they re-engaging with your brand post-visit? Again, the incentive doesn't have to be right away getting them into the club, although that's wonderful. There shouldn't be that high pressure feeling, but are they joining the newsletter when they're in the tasting room? Are they signing up for an event or using promo codes in your online store? Monitor that every quarter and find out what's working. Customize then the follow-up incentives based on the majority and what they like. And then this quote here, what matters the most is the second sale and all subsequent sales, from Rob McMillan again. This is so important, and this rings true in my mind over and over as I interact with different wineries and online, retailers and in-person retailers. Am I going to go back at a restaurant? Am I going to go back and frequent that restaurant? It's that second visit that really tells you a lot about whether or not they connected to your brand. So take time to monitor the results of those second visits and thank your customers for the second sale. Use it as an opportunity to connect with them by a phone call, a follow-up activity, invite them to an event. You know that they're starting to connect more with your brand now, so capitalize on that. As we wrap up here today, I do want to mention that there's a lot of value in building strategy around your direct-to-consumer sales division, adding some customer retention techniques and tactics. On a monthly basis, the Direct-to-Consumer Consultant Network, we share in a monthly roundtable best practices and industry trends. I would advise you do the same thing. Shop your competitors, shop others, identify as a group what you like and don't like when it comes to in-person opportunities at tasting rooms, restaurants, retailers, as well as the online e-commerce experience. And then make some changes, test some things out, try some new things with your customers, have fun with it. I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation today. It looks like I've gone over just a bit on time. I do apologize for that. But if you want to hang out, I will answer a couple of questions here. Okay, so it looks like, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you there.
I just went ahead and unmuted everyone. So if you have any questions, please chime in.
Okay, there's one question that came in from Katie. Will the deck be available for download following today's presentation? Website, so you can find it there. All right, anything else as we wrap up?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sandra.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so. Yes.
Sorry, Sandra. It's just me chiming in to say to everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We will be sending out a follow-up email with all the information from the webinar, and of course, please feel free to contact us at sales@DTC Wine Workshops if you have any questions or if we can help you with some of your direct-to-consumer business needs.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.